this idea of that the idea that creating time for ourselves to think freely and have free time to just experiment and think and create things, whether it's artistically or businesses or plans to enrich ourselves and help our life paths, on the things that we don't think are in our control, and it kind of goes back, I'm going to dovetail around here, but it kind of goes back to what we spoke about outside in nature earlier, about loneliness versus being alone. When I was lonely, man, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, super lonely. And I had a great big job, a great big network, family, education, all the things. I had all the things, man. I looked great on paper. And I was, at the end of the day, every day, I was drinking, whatever it was, wine, whiskey, beer, whatever, to get to a point where I was literally comfortable enough to be alone and asleep with my own thoughts. And I just said I was a guy that drank all night, till bed. And that's just what I identified with. And I was so afraid to take a look inside and see, because I knew I was in pain and I was acting in ways like that. And that was just one example of all the risky shit I got into. And I kind of felt like I had, I hadn't looked inside. And once I looked inside and I actually started paying attention to that stuff, because the pain inside, the fear I had, the insecurities, right? I was on paper and to my community and to my teams that I was leading and, and to whoever, I was Josh Rizzo. I did all that shit. I'm a tough guy. I've done this, I had this this image or persona that had been The Rock and, capable of all these things and never quit, yeah. And that, I was very attached to that. So attached to it that I pretended to keep being that guy when I wasn't, in fact, confident. I wasn't happy, and my friends saw it, but the outside world didn't. And I was so attached to that persona that I kind of stayed with it, and it drove me to the point where I wouldn't even look at who I really was and spend that time with me. I was afraid to be alone, so I drank like a madman, and I did all kinds of crazy stuff. And there's only so long you can run before the wheels fall off the car. And for most of us, it takes the wheels falling off the car to figure some things out. And it happened to me a bunch of times. It happened multiple times. I'm a guy who has to run through the wall a few times, but I finally made the decision to take care of myself and look inside and do the work and say, shit, I need help. Let me swallow this pride and stop trying to be this dude. I ain't that dude, man. It's hard right now. Life is hard, and I don't know why. I don't know. There's lots of guilt. What did I do wrong? This, that, the other thing. And once you drop all that shit, that mask, that whatever that you're trying to be for everyone else, and really, truly put your inner child first, put you first, and start caring for yourself gently with love, the relationship changes. And you kind of see, at least in my experience, I saw that being alone at night or whatever it is with my own thoughts is actually the most beautiful place I can be. A lot of religious people say when you're alone, you're closest to God, and that's great. And I would agree with that. In whatever sense of the word God you believe or don't believe, nature, universe, at one, atonement, at one-ment. When I'm, in meditation and prayer and in gratitude and in harmony and in love and appreciating what I have and rather than what I don't, I'm at one, and that's just incredible. And that time it's special. And that's kind of when the change went from, 10, 15 years ago, I was scared to be alone. And, we were talking the last 7, 8 years out here in the mountains, I spend a lot of time, in public, speaking on stages and doing workshops and stuff and flying around places. But when I'm home, I'm creating. I'm making art. I'm spending time alone. I'm spending time with my family. But we kind of talked about time a little bit earlier today, and that's where I started saying like the thinking is illegal, because you kind of asked how I split up my days, like what things look like for me now, and I've got lots of work and lots of cool places I'm speaking, and I'm getting to choose my partners I want to work with, more in depth on mental health and healing and teamwork and leadership and stuff in the corporate space, and I got the other stuff I'm doing, but this art thing has just been so incredible and so therapeutic, and a place where I can really use as an experimentation pad for concepts that translate to life. But that's another thought for another time. This time though alone that I create for myself, man, when I'm home, when I'm off the road, even when I'm on the road, I always create free time. And it's like, it's so taboo to say that. Like, yeah, my schedule is gonna have blocks of empty spaces. And if I can get 2 days in a row or 3 with no meetings, and I can stack them somewhere, or if I have that luxury, like if there's not enough responsibilities on me, like I try to clear all the have-tos, and I try to get objectives from people, from partners, like what needs to get done, and I do those things at my own time. But when I want to dive into something, I want time for that, and I want space so that I don't have things scheduled. That's the other thing, Con, like the phone calls. I mean, you've been here all week. It's like I take a lot of phone calls, and I have time in my afternoons where I'm talking with people, friends, business partners, family, and then you see the construction guys. Like, there's thousands of construction workers who have my telephone number in this country. Like, from every speech I do, every talk I do on a job site, I give my cell phone number out, and I'm like, hey, y'all can give me a call, you can text me, whatever. Like, most of us aren't ready to say, hey, I'm gonna go see the counselor or go to therapist. That's at least how I was. I was a recovering tough guy. So like I wouldn't take that first step. But if somebody comes to you and shows you they came from a similar place you came from, man, and like I wore that tough guy skin, and I played that role against my own little heart, and played it sad, and lonely, and over time, you can actually let all that shit go, and you can be who you are. You can be open. You can relate. You can be vulnerable. You can be not okay. It's not okay to do that in silence. And I think I did that for so many years, and once I started to not do that and really take care of myself, care for myself, I started to realize that I was showing up more whole for everybody. And I could go deeper, and I could help more people, and I have you asked about free time and like how I'm doing all these little things. I keep a lot of free time so that I have play, and I'm a communicator. I love talking. I love listening. So like I'm able to have this time with my friends, with my passions, with things like that, keeping that time free. It's where ideas come. Like, I worked in the military for years. I worked in corporate for years, in construction for years. Like, I know what it's like to have 80-hour weeks. I got it. I did it. And I know what it's like to have responsibilities of running teams. It's a big deal. You're all in, man, all the time. I'm yours. Like, what do you need, and always in consideration. But at this point, I'm truly like figuring out what my next steps are, and kind of how I'm gonna be able to like do things that are true to me and excite my heart, so I can give all of my shit to whatever I'm doing. And everything I'm doing in life, I'm showing up that way now, and I'm trying to do that and just be more pure about the things I connect with people on, and keep open space for what's coming and what's arising. Because man, we're regenerative. This world's regenerative. It's a continuous opportunity to begin again. And to realize I'm gonna start taking care of myself. I'm gonna start valuing my time with myself. I'm gonna start investing in myself. And sometimes investing in myself is being alone these days. I could have never said that 10 years ago, man, never. And sometimes investing in myself is taking a day where I go in the woods and camp overnight, or, going on a long hike, or whatever it is, like go meditate, you go to the spa, however you want to fill up. But actually making that a priority and treating it as an investment and not feeling the guilt like I'm pampering myself. That's bullshit. You do that for your kid, you do that for your best friend, your spouse, your lover, whoever. You would do things to pamper, to help them. And so once we start turning that light back on ourselves and considering ourselves, we can start delivering for ourselves. And that whole thing, man, about thinking is illegal. Like, it's like, you take time to sit and think every day? I do. And let me blow your mind now. I take time to sit and not think, to meditate, to let go of thoughts. That's a whole nother story. And I take time to do the things that fill my cup. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I could strap it on and go to work, put my shield on, and we can get hot. And I could work 100 hours. But I want to spend those hours creating, helping, and listening to me, man, and showing up whole, showing up okay, showing up with all my heart and a good attitude about what I'm doing. And I'm lucky that I've been able to slow down, get quiet, and realize that the world's not out there. Like, the world's like in here. And if I can get quiet enough and consider what's happening and courageous enough to take the actions, man, things start to change. But if we want time to think, or time to not think, or time to relax, or time to download, or let go of the craziness, we've got to start considering ourselves and making time for ourselves. I think that's truly critical, and thinking is not illegal. Thinking is great, and not thinking is great too. Things where you can get out of thinking and just release and dump and let go of all the energy you're taking on, because we're taking on tons of it.